Hello everyone, this is Gary with your cards of the day, and today I'm using 3 decks because I chose to do, in some respects, quite a traditional tarot reading today. And the decks that I'm using, I have 2 decks that I would consider to be traditional tarot decks. First of all, I'm using my Thoth deck by Aleister Crowley, and I'm also using my Universal Waite deck, which is an updated version of the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. But I don't really have what I would consider to be a third traditional deck, so feel free to leave me some suggestions on that one. So I'm using my Celtic Tarot by Julian de Burgh. And the numerology today is very interesting because we have a day 22. So this is 20, which is Judgement, and 2, which is the High Priestess. And they're both kind of interesting because the feeling Judgement gives me is one of really connecting to the higher powers. And as a result of being able to do that, gaining a lot of insight and gaining a lot of clarity and being able to make judgments appropriately today. And the 2, which is the High Priestess, is all about intuition and being able to see behind things, see the secrets behind things, which again, to me, very much has this kind of, this feeling of where is that knowledge coming from? It's coming from beyond the veil, it's coming from the esoteric rather than the mundane. And it does bring up some kind of interesting things, some interesting feelings. And interestingly enough, something that I've been working on recently is runic numerology, and in the runes this comes up as Lagu, which is that connection to the higher self, but also Thorn, which is a spiritual connection, and it's a rune associated with the god Thor, so there's a protection element to it. So it's a very interesting energy that we have working in the numerology today. Now, moving to the cards themselves, from the Thoth deck we begin with 14, which Crowley calls art. This in any other deck is the Temperance card, and the feeling here is one of balancing opposites. It's almost having a blend of elements, really. We have the fire, we have the water, we have the earth, we have the air. We've got to blend these things together and try to achieve a balance, really, in what we're dealing with today. So it's almost like the image I'm being shown is like making soup. If you put too much of one thing or too little of another thing in, it ruins it. So you really have to balance those things together and blend the elements. Now, our second card today, which is from the Universal Waite, is the Emperor. And the Emperor is very, very interesting because what we're dealing with here is the archetypal, powerful figure, the figure of authority. We have the symbol of Aries, and Aries, of course, is ruled predominantly by Mars. So what we're dealing with here is somebody who is extremely forceful, extremely powerful, very direct, protective, fatherly. In some ways, this Emperor is very much like the god Thor himself, who came up in the numerology. He's kind of very straight to it and through it, direct. So there's a lot of power around us today. There's a lot of protecting ourselves, being ready, being able, and really having that strength with us. But interestingly, as I look at this card, the things that are showing up very strongly to me are the colour in his armour, which is blue. So it suggests to me, try to calm that down a little bit, try to cool that down slightly, because there's a lot of red here as well, but let the blue calm it and cool it down a little bit, and communicate. Use your ability to communicate rather than it always being kind of an actions kind of approach. Use your, in a sense, a slightly more velvet glove than iron fist approach. And in a way of by way of cooling that down, I'm going to include my lapis lazuli stone as a reminder of that blue cooling energy, which I'm going to place up here. Now, our final card, you won't quite be able to believe actually, because it's the Emperor again. But this actually to me has much more the feel of the Temperance card with it. It is softer, it's less direct. The Emperor is looking off to one side here, so it's a less direct approach, but he's still strong, he's still sitting in his power, you still wouldn't want to mess with him. But it is just reinforcing that message that we have of, yes, be direct, be strong, but not overly so. So if we do a little recap, this is really interesting, and it's funny, I got a question the other day, somebody was asking me, when using different decks, about two of the same card coming up, and we've had it happen here. We have the Temperance card, art, blending things together, finding a balance in everything, and making sure that we have neither too much or too little of any particular element today. And then we have two cards of the Emperor. We have the slightly more Thor-like, powerful, direct, almost aggressive Emperor, but with an indication that we could perhaps calm that down a little bit. And then we have the slightly more, slightly calmer, more orange is what I'm seeing here, which is a self-esteem colour. So he's definitely very, very in his own power, confident, full of self-esteem and self-confidence, but he's looking away slightly, so he's calming his more excessive influences down slightly. So there we are using our power, but we're not beating people over the head with it so much. And we are communicating. We have the lapis lazuli just to remind us to communicate our feelings and our thoughts to others, but in a slightly more gentle way. So I hope you've enjoyed these cards of the day and this quite interesting look at the energies around us. It is quite rare for a card to come out twice. I think I've had it in the time I've been doing these videos about 3 times. So it is quite rare, but it's nice to see when it does, because it does give you different aspects. Please feel free to leave me some comments and let me know how these themes interact with your day today, and how you have perhaps used this Emperor energy and this protective energy to your advantage today. Please also feel free to check out my website, www.theseerscave.webs.com, for more information about myself, my tools, and the readings that I offer. I would love to wish everyone a really happy, powerful, self-assured, and successful day today, and as always, love, light, blessings, and frith to you all.